I know I said the next one I was going to upload was going to be the BB band stop, but something kind of stepped in front of that. When you, but let me mention something about BB band stop first. When you scan for a break in that, you can scan all the pairs, all the time frames, or if you might not be interested in anything other than one single pair. There's no point in scanning them all, or there's less of a point, I guess I should say, in scanning them all when you're only interested in one. In the case here of EURUSD, you need to know. It seems to help me to know the current count, the average count, and then also where the trend stop is and our distance from it. And what I mean by that, let's just use PSAR here. The current count in this case, this is PSAR now. Current count in this case would be 1. PSAR dot just broke. It'd be 1. This is BB bands, but you can use this just as well as an example. 1. Okay, the average would be, on average, how many dots do you have in a string? Knowing how many dots on average you have in a string for PSAR, same would go for BB bands or any other indicator almost. You can kind of tell how late you are to the party or how early you are to the party. That's the average. So you have the count, you have the average count, price, and you need to really kind of know the distance from it. Let's say, for instance, the count was 1 and the difference was 500 pips. Well, without even thinking about it, you would know that the price must have fell probably 500 pips or thereabouts. Well, that's extreme. But if it's only, say, 32 pips from it, or say 89 pips from it, when you look at that, you pretty much over time memorize the ATR on the 30-minute and the 60-minute and all like that. So you can say, okay, well, we're within maybe 2 bars of breaking it or getting close to it or something along that line. You need to know all those factors also to make any sense out of it. So here's the Euro USD 5, and here's the 5, and you can see it broke, and then there's 1 dot. All right, let me see if I can get rid of that. That's enough of that. What I want to do now is I think it was, I can't remember now, I think it was Tasmo asked about putting in how to make the time frames. If you remember in the indicators I've been uploading, I have been putting in the time frames. Proximity. I'm hard coding it right here. See, init time frames. This is what I've uploaded before. Same thing, count, time. You should have memorized that by now. And if you think you can't memorize that, think about in terms of songs. How many songs you have memorized. You know, even something like Santa Claus is Coming to Town. I mean, darn, there's less here than there is words in Santa Claus is Coming to Town. And if you think about it, in Santa Claus Coming to Town, that is like a multi-dimensional array, because you are memorizing the words, the tone or note or whatever you call it, pitch or whatever of each word, how long that word is. In the case of a song like Layla, you can say Layla, or you can scream it out and drag it out like Eric Clapton does, much longer, so you know how long it is. And there are some other things. So when you learn that song, you're learning more than just the words. You're memorizing more than just the words. You're memorizing those other things. And that's like a multi-dimensional array. There's no difference. So here's this single array, one-dimensional, in it time frames. Well, I think Tasmo, I think is who it was, wanted to know how to put that in as a variable. So in other words, like he wants to be able to put in extern string periods. Left out 60. Huh. Well, that's good. That's good. He wants to be able to put these in a manner like this. Let's see here. What is it? Like this. See, I left out 60. So he wants to be able to put in what he wants. Let me put in 60. 60 and comma. Okay, so now I put it that, and maybe he wants to take out 1440, but you would have to take out the 1440 and the comma. So cancel that. The question was how to do that. Well, there's several ways to do that. First off, you have to put that right there, extern string and all like that. You do not want to put it like I have it here, where it's hard-coded in. You want it like this. And I'll upload this code to enivid site, earnforex.com, and also Forex Factory. So what you have to do, you have to get it out of this and put it into a usable array. Now, there's people that you can tell at least it seems like they're trained in coding. They went to school for it or something. Mladen is one, enivid's another, Eugene Nin's another. There's quite a few of them out there. You could tell that they actually been to school. I have not. I have zero formal training. Here is how Mladen does it. Now keep in mind, he's light years ahead of me as far as code. I need to be able to write it out in my mind, just like that Santa Claus coming to town. You can memorize it. I can memorize it. I can write things in my mind because I keep them simple. Mladen, enivid, stringo, fat, those guys from MetaQuotes, they're formally trained, so they can do things, I like to call it the harder way. Here is how he does it. Extern string, time frames. Mine over there, let's see. I got two platforms open up over here. Let's see. Mine here says periods. And he has the parentheses things and H and a semicolon and a D1, H4, D1, like that. So on his, when you put this on there, if you wanted to input some more, you would input some more. Now, here again, being formally trained, I'm guessing he knows how easy it is for people to get stuff confused. So he does a lot of other things. Here's how he does it. First he takes, I'm not going to go through all this because, to be honest with you, a lot of it, it'd take me hours to say it. First he does all this, and look here, he's calling a function down below. I'll move down to those functions in a minute. Then he does all this. Here again, he's calling a function from down below, a different function from down below. Then he puts them in the array of some sorts, all this. To be honest with you, that would be hard for me to memorize, and I need to memorize it. Okay, now let's drop down to the function. So he's doing this right here and dropping down to a function, and coming back up here, doing this, dropping down to a function, coming up here and finishing this. Here are the functions down here, and this is the velocity, currency, heat map, NMC. This is his indicator. So if you want to look at the exact code, you could see it. But he does it the same way. And you could tell he's very good at this because these functions he's written himself. And he's unique in the fact I've never seen anybody do it the way he does it. and I've never seen anybody copy the way he does it. He's unique in this, and it works. Let's see. He uses this string to uppercase also up there. I must have missed that one. Here's another function: string to time frame to string. See, I would have to memorize it. Santa Claus coming to town. We done turned it into, a 15-minute song by now. And then he's changing from numerals to M1, M30 and all like that, in all this. That's how he does it. He's formally trained. That right there is a piece of cake for him. Me, just being a dang hayseed, I need it simple. And that's the difference between stringo and those guys, mladen and enivid and all like that. They don't need it simple. They can be extremely hard, and they still, at home. Okay, so let me get rid of this. That's how he does it, and I'm just about. I bet his way. My way's a whole lot simpler. His way is probably, maybe, I'm not sure, better. Okay, here's how I do it. Extern string periods. He used time frames. I use periods. And here they are. And I forgot the 60. And then I have string time frames. And there's a reason for it being string now instead of init. I use one line. Init t equals split, or string split, periods. All this is saying is, and this right here, this is stringo and fat and all them with meta quotes. These are their included functions, if you want to call it that. In other words, they saw the need for this and they incorporated it already for us in the platform. Okay, init t, string split periods is telling me that I want to split this string called periods. So that's the string. We want to split that. How do we want to split it? We want to split it by string get character. And in my case, you see how this parentheses and then or quotations or whatever. I guess that's quotation marks. Quotations and then the little comma and then quotations. In other words, I want to split it by these commas right there. So I want to split it here. I want to split it there. I want to split it there. And when you do that, you're leaving the numbers. And I want 0 just means start at the beginning and go the whole route. And I want to put it in this array, TFS. It's right here. And that's it. I'm done. I don't have to worry about all that other stuff, that's way above my head. Simple. Santa Claus is coming to town. I mean, it's just that simple. Now, you'll notice the rest of this is all the same. There's no difference in the rest of this. It's all the same. All the same. All the same. Now, let's get down a little bit lower here. And the reason for this is just to kind of show Tasmo my method of doing it. But remember, first I showed you a trained coder's way of doing it, which is probably better than my way. You make your decision on that. Okay. This time, where before we had the function PSAR, this time all I'm doing is looking for if the QQE crosses the 50 line, up or below. So what this function is doing, just like PSAR before, we're going through the pairs. Remember, Euro USD is the first one, and then this part right here goes through the steps through the time frames, 15, 5, 15, 30, like that, and it will be 60 and on up. And it's saying, hey, QQE, look at the Euro USD, the 5 minute, right here, and tell me if there was if the QQE crossed above the 50 or below. So it looks at this, iCustom, sim time frame. We just sent that down, Euro USD, 15 minute or 5, whatever. QQE is the name of the symbol. I'm sure you know how to use iCustom. These are your little bitty inputs. that are there. In this case, because there's only one, I put it in. Is greater than 50. So in other words, on the last completed bar, the QQE is greater than 50. Like if this was 50, the QQE was up here. If this line right here was 50. And 2 bars ago, it was less than or equal to 50. So in other words, it was down here or on the line. The opposite for here. So that's all you're doing. You're stepping through. Nothing's changed from the PSAR. Nothing's changed really from the original Zen ZUP thing. Nen ZUP thing. Just this time we're just saying, hey, QQE, check this pair and this time frame for me and tell me if there's any signals. If there's nothing, it returns nothing, and you don't, that's the end of it. So let's okay, now one other thing, and this is just the difference between somebody that knows exactly what they're doing and somebody that kind of knows what they're doing. You see here, integer to time. Well, let's see here. Let me compile this first. No errors, no warnings, no errors. Don't worry so much about warnings. Okay, now watch this. I'm going to take out this integer to string. Control X. I'm just going to put it right here because I'm going to put it back a second. V. And I got to remove this. So now it looks like, it should look like maybe, I hope it does. Yeah, see it looks just like this. See it TF? Just like this. Let's go back. Now let me compile it. One warning. Implicit, I guess that means implied, conversion from number to string. All that is telling us, that's just a warning saying, hey, this right here is really a string. Do you want to, and it should be a number or either vice versa. It's really a number and should be a string, I guess is what it's saying. Now it's going to work the same. It's not going to work. It's not going to change. But I have to put it in like this, which is the way a real store-bought coder would put it in. Because if I don't, somebody's going to see that warning and say, oh, that's something bad. Well, it's not really bad. It's just, see, Control X. Some yahoo don't know how to code perfectly, but it would still work. Control V. Let me put this other one back. Let me get rid of that. Okay, compile. Now I'm back to no errors, no warnings. Because what MetaTrader wants, it wants these things coming the way they think it should. And sometimes it's not the way they think it should, and they will convert it for you, and they will warn you, hey, we converted this to this. And that's all that warning is about. All right, so there it is, QQE scanner. You can see it's nothing more, really. Nothing's really changed to mount to much other than I've made it to where you can input the time frames of your choice, which is really what task mode wanted to know how to do. Just want to know how to do that, or at least I'm thinking that's what he wanted to know how to do. So how to do it, I put them there, and then I use this one line. I can easily memorize that line. Init T, string split, periods, period, the string I want to split. How do I want to split it? String get character by the comma. I want to split it at every comma. Where do I want to start? I want to start at the beginning, go to the end, and I want to put them all in the TFS array right there. So I'm done. Okay, so now let's go to this here. Okay, I don't have a... Okay, let's put it in a 60. See here how I'm missing a 60? I'll correct that before I post this code. I'm going to upload the code, of course, naturally, the enivid site and earn4x.com, and then also Forex Factory. Okay, so it should do the 5, 15, 30, 60, 240, and 1440. And what it's going to look for, let me see if I got this. I probably can't. Yeah, there. First time ever. I remember to turn the darn speaker down. It might not hurt your ears, but believe me, it blows my ears away because I got headphones on, I guess. So what it's doing now, it's going through the pairs and the time frames, and it's checking for crosses. CAD Swiss. Did I have CAD Swiss pulled up already? Nope. Okay, CAD Swiss. Where's that at? Right here. Okay, so this, all it's telling me is this. It's telling me that it scanned through them all. It's telling me on this bar right here, which is bar 1. Now you could put bar 0 in there, but you stand the risk of it dropping back down. You know, and if you want to be trying to jump the gun, you'd use 0 instead of 1. But it just seems to work out better for me to use the 1. And most people do that. Okay, so on this bar here, it moved above the 50 line. That yellow's the 50 line. On this bar here, it was below the 50 line. Okay. Now, let me back out here. If you notice, it won't always work. This might not be a good example. That's probably why I had the Euro USD pulled up. When the QQE drops below the 50 line, now here it was kind of bouncing back and forth, and it would have probably beat you to death if you'd have took every signal. And it's below the PSAR. Usually it's a pretty good signal. When it crosses above the 50 and it's above the PSAR, usually it's a pretty good signal. Here, now if you want to use, a lot of people will be using when it crosses its own signal line. It just to me seems a little safer to wait till it crosses above the 50 and it's above the PSAR. It's a pretty good signal. What we got here? Here, it crossed, where were we on? Daily chart? It crossed below the signal line. I mean the 50. It was below the PSAR. See, it's a pretty good signal. Here it crossed above the 50. It's above the PSAR. Pretty good signal. Here it crossed above the 50. It was above the PSAR. Pretty good signal. You know, you can sit there and you could go through this all day. It also seems to help to, like I'd said before, to drop down, and that's what this line here is for, to drop down to a lower time frame. When you drop down to the lower time frame, say something like the 240, and then, because you know 240 is a pretty good bit of movement there now. Then, if you take the signals where it drops down below, to me it just seems like you've got something helping you out. See how it dropped down below, and remember now this is where it dropped down below on the daily chart. So how many of these signals, there, let me just put a line right here. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3, there's 4, there's 5, there's 6, there's 7, there's 8, there's 9, there's 10, there's 11. There's 11 times that it broke below, on the 240, it broke below the 50 with the daily backing it up. And you can see, I don't think there was a single one that you would have lost money on. Not a single one, depending on how much your profit target. Now, if your profit target was 500 pips, you might be still holding some of them. And you can also see that when it broke above the 50, when the daily was going down, it's really not that good a time to be buying. Seems to be better to me to buy when the daily's going up, to sell when the daily's going down on your 240s. And if you want to get it on down, just try to nickel and dime it, drop down to the 15-minute or something like that. And every time it drops down below the 50, look and see if that might be a good time to sell. Every single time it drops down below, you'll probably find out you'll have fewer losers, and it's no guarantee now. It's absolutely no guarantee. But see if there was anything else I wanted to say on that. I think that was about it. And I know this is different than what I had said I was going to do. I was going to do the Bollinger Bands next, but here again is mladen, and mladen is, worlds ahead of me on coding. Trust me. I was the first person on Forex Factory to vouch for mladen. I saw how good he was even before he knew how good he was. That was a long time ago. Velocity, currency, heat map, NMC is his indicator. And you can look at that and compare the way he does it in mladen. Well, this right here says currency heat map. I don't know why that is. And then also he has his website, forexstation.com or something, which is real good. It focuses on indicators and code. There's no nonsense on it, as far as I can tell. There is zero nonsense on his. If you come there for any reason other than code or Forex or trading or something like that, you're probably not going to last long. But anyway, that's the name of that tune. I'll post this on enivid site and also Forex Factory, both of them.